Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I got a special guest with me here today. It's the newest member of the Cujo team. You guys might know him from his stream or his great YouTube videos. I got my man Valdez with me. How's it going, Valdez?
Hey guys, hey Baba, thanks for having me. Doing good, doing great.
Good to hear. And today we've got the magic cards from the Divine Order set pulled up. So we're just gonna go through each one and let you guys know what we think. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first card we got is the Armadillo Familiar. This is a 1-mana 2/1 Aether card with the text, at the end of your turn, if you have played 2 or more spells, give this creature +1 armor. And I don't think I've seen this card played too much. The armor seems kind of enticing, but I'm not really sure how big of a difference that makes. What do you think of this card here?
Well, from a technical side of you need at least 3 mana. Use 3 mana for this card to be, somewhat effective. And to buff it every time, because let's say 1 armor is just 1 armor added to 1 HP is not that much. So you need to waste, in my opinion, because it's not worth it. It's good, the idea is good, it's just too weak. It can be interesting, but playing this card alone and then playing around it is not worth it, in my opinion. It's a good card though.
Yeah, it does seem kind of weak. I mean, it is 1 mana, so you can get it out early, but like you were saying, you'd have to probably want to play a spell right away. And yeah, it's kind of tough. I feel like this would just get run down by like a Vanguard Axewoman, or any sort of control deck is going to have spells to deal with it, like Board Wipe Death. It's got the Blood Ritual God Power that'll just destroy a 1-health creature. There's Blight Bomb, stuff like that. So I think this card is kind of weak.
Yeah, and even if you manage on the second turn to buff it again with another armor, so it has like 2 armor, it's still just 3 HP in total, and there are so many creatures that can deal with that. It's just not a threat to be, taken seriously.
Yeah, I agree. So moving on, let's check out Enchanted Chariot. And I kind of like this one. It's pretty much a Athenian archer, but instead of a 1/2, it's a 2/1. It's got the ping damage, which with we just had the ward changes go through, so I think that makes the interactions with these ping creatures a little bit different. But I mean, whether you're doing the 1 damage or popping a ward, I think there's still value there. So personally, I like this card. What do you think?
True, I like it also, and to add it that it's type, so it's a structure. And mages with the new Divine Order expansion got some nice synergies with structures. And yeah, I don't want to add anything else, because yeah, now that ward is being changed, that damage for 1 mana popping a ward is very good. It like mages don't have that much frenzy effect, but if you play around getting random spells which are around frenzy, it's something good to have. Like 1 damage, you can deal damage to face, get frenzy effect for 1 mana, and that the fact that it's structure, it's a good creature with decent stats for 1 mana and effect. So yeah, it's a good card.
Alright, let's take a look at this Volcano Watcher. Now this is a little bit different. If you read the text, it comes out onto the field with Order 10. When you summon a creature, give +1 health to this creature at the end of your turn. If this creature has 5 health or more, give spell boost +1 to it. And I see a lot of people try running this card, And I mean, it's pretty easy to remove because it's like 1 health. I guess if they summon some creatures, it gets the health up a little bit more. But it is an Atlantean too, so I think this card has a little bit of potential with the Atlantean synergies. The spell boost, like, I mean, there's magic decks that are kind of making that their whole like thing, giving a spell boost and then going face. So I don't know if you have any experience with this card, or what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, in my opinion, the hype is more than the utility on this card, because if you think about it, this card synergizes well with minions, with creatures. And usually mage players don't work around, you know, zoo or around small creatures. So it's again a nice nice effect, and you know it's protected. I mean, protected. I mean it's under order, so it can be targeted by creatures. I mean, you need again to have 5 creatures for the truly good effect to come. That is the spell boost. I didn't see anyone yet play this card. Maybe because it synergizes with Zoo, and mages. The current meta is more around still ramping up and spells.
Yeah, now that you put it, you know, you need to play 5 creatures to get this spell boost +1. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you just play the 1 mana card with the spell boost. I forget what it's called, but it's like a 1/3 with spell boost 1. So
yeah,
so I think this one, I don't know, maybe we're missing something and it's got some Atlantean synergy. Like, I know you can get the ward on it, but it just seems way too slow in the current meta. So I think this would probably be a pass for me.
likewise.
All right, well, let's keep on going then. We're already at 2 mana. We've got our first epic card. This is the Aggravated Architect, and it's a 2 mana 2/3 mystic. Those are decent stats. It's also got backline and ability. So this card, it's got an ability. It's choose one of your structures, deal its strength as damage to a random enemy creature, and then deal 1 damage to the structure. It's kind of a lot to unpack, and yeah, I don't know if I've seen this card played too much. Have you seen people play this or experimented with it at all?
Yeah, so I've seen someone play this card, and actually the synergy was very good. He played Labyrinth Guard, and if you scroll down, there is under 6 mana. So I don't want to jump around it, but yeah.
It's a 4 attack, 4/8.
With armor 1.
Right.
So armor negates 1 damage, because how it works, this card is that its strength gets beaten to the targeted creature's health. So it was somewhat good. It didn't work quite well. I liked the synergy, because if we put it into perspective, that is the best card to use this 2 mana Aggravated Architect.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like the Bronze Gate would be good too, but obviously, you know, it does less damage. You might be able to get it out a little earlier, but this whole thing, though, it does seem a little slow. I don't know. I guess if you're playing structures, you're probably slowing your opponent down that way.
So we have to do this again, because deal 1 damage to the structure. Yeah, now I remember. So how he played it around Labyrinth Guard is that it's not the strength that he deals only 1 damage to the structure. So Labyrinth Guard and also the Bronze Gate, they don't get damaged by this. So the armor 1 is very good with this Aggravated Architect.
Yeah, and I could see that being very strong against if you're playing against a zoo deck with this. I mean, you've got the front line structures, stopping your enemy creatures from going face or killing your board, and then you just throw this down and start hitting the ability, and then you just start killing the creatures. So, I mean, I think it's a very strong card in that situation. So maybe this would be. I feel like you could probably try this in a control deck for some early game control, but there is some setup to it.
Yeah, it's a decent card. Stat-wise, it's good. It has also backline.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can use it effectively 2 times in a row, then this card beats every other 2-drop creature. If we count that the minimum damage that you can deal with the ability is 2.
Yeah.
Because if yeah, sorry.
It's a, I think it's pretty decent, but the only thing I'd be worried about is like it's slow. You gotta set it up. I feel like you'd want to play the structure first and then this card, and then it's only a 3 health, so this could be removed by a spell pretty easily. But Magic does have ways to give its creatures ward and stuff, so I think this card has some potential for sure.
Yeah, it's a decent card. It's very slow because yeah, ability can be only played after the creature has been played. So you have to play first a structure, then you need to play again the architect, and then on turn 3 would be the first attack. And the structures usually here over at Mage Land are front lines who cannot attack. Like the decent ones that are currently being played.
Yeah. Alright, let's keep on moving here. We've got the legendary card, and I think everyone's seen this. Demetrios Playwright. It's a 2 mana. It's got Order 10, and the effect of this card is kind of interesting. It's not like any other card. So it says, roar, add a final draft to your hand. At the start of your turn, upgrade a final draft. And then to understand this card, you need to understand what the final draft is. So it starts off as a 1 mana, deal 1 damage, draw 1 card, which is already a great spell. And then each turn you've got Demetrios on the board, it's going to be upgrading this to do 2 damage, draw 2 card, and then so on and so on up to 5 damage. And I think they changed it recently to where each turn it's upgraded, the mana cost goes up by 1, right? So
yeah,
you deal 2 damage, draw 2 cards, then it'd be a 2 mana card. But I really like this card a lot, and you see this played. I mean, it's basically an auto include in every Magic deck now. It seems like it's in the aggro decks, it's in the control decks, it's in the I don't know what you'd call it, like the structure kind of like mid-range combo decks. It's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, true. Before you mentioned that when the final draft was upgraded, the spell cost stayed the same. So before that, it was almost always the best choice to leave the final draft to be upgraded to like the final draft until level 5. I'm playing this card, and occasionally you have to watch out for the mana cost and the final draft and the current play of the game. Because if you let it reach 4 or 5 mana, usually the tempo and the tempo boost that you could get from dealing a damage and drawing cards can backfire. So now you have to be careful and potentially use it. In some cases, like percentage-wise, I would say that the best is to use it at 3, like the level 3 final draft. If you have spell boost, then the better. because it affects, of course, the damage, not the card draws. But now that the mana cost is also increasing, you have to be careful. It's just, you know, like a friendly tip.
Yeah, you
Because
don't want to use it
backfire.
too late.
Yeah, it's some occasions.
I
But
love
it's
this card in a control deck too because, I mean, you put it down, then you get a spell for removal, and you're also drawing cards. And I mean, when I play control, I love to draw cards. Just make sure I'm getting like the answers I need. I guess in certain control matchups, that could potentially be bad if you're playing Magic and you're going against Death and they're trying to mill you, or even Deception. Some of the control deception decks now are playing Hypno's Puzzle Box and will try to fill up your hand. So definitely, it's a great card, but like you were saying, you just have to be aware of like when to play it and when not to play it, because I mean there are situations where that sort of thing can hurt you, right?
Yeah, and we need to add another important aspect to it. So Demetrius has to stay on board, and because it has only 1 HP, if you're playing against deaths, like deal 1 damage, heal 1 god power, then you need to protect it. You need to protect it somehow. Also, that's not the only case when you need to be careful. Like there are a lot of roar 1 damage creatures, and also spells that can easily kill him. So you need to have that in mind, whom you're up against and what may have. There are some ways to protect it. For example, with mage spells, with safeguard incantation, or vow of learning. These are usually being played in mage decks. These other creatures that buff the health of other creatures, not so much, because mages don't run aggro or zoo decks focused on creatures.
Okay, yeah. Let's take a look at this next card here. We got the Frostbitten Channel. It's a 2-mana 3/2 with spell boost +1, and then it comes onto the board with order 3. It's also a mystic. What are your thoughts on this one here?
This card is a really good one because it has order, it has spell boost, and it's only for 2 mana. So what is the end result? The end result is like similar to that other card that I was looking up and found it, Street Conjurer. So it's for 1 mana, spell boost 1. It has the similar effect and the similar result to it. So you have multiple 1 mana spells that deal 2 damage. So when facing an aggro or a fast deck, Frostbitten Channeler and even a Street Conjurer is good to have, because the spell boost 1 usually is enough to play together with 1 mana spells that deal 2 damage, and almost like 90% of time you can deal with the tempo, the early tempo that these fast aggro decks bring. Order 3 means that on the first enemy turn, it's still under order, so they can't kill it. On the other hand, like how you want to play with Street Conjurer is that you want to place it on the board at the same time when you cast a spell. Other way, they will immediately, because it's a high value threat, they will kill it. But Frostbitten Channeler can't be killed. So, in my opinion, on the first turn, that is, with attacks of minions to add it. So it's a great card with great potential.
Yeah, I mean it does seem good. You play it, then you get the boost for the spell, and then if it doesn't get if the Frostbitten Chandler doesn't get removed by a spell, then you've got a 3/2 for 2 mana, which is gonna trade into almost any 2 mana creature, excluding like Pyramid Warden and stuff like that. But I'm thinking like Black Jaguar. So I mean, this card it seems like good value to me.
Yeah, I mean, look how many 1 mana spells there are. Ancient Text, Form of Power, Illuminate. I'm just scrolling through. These are the 3 that cost only 1 mana, and effectively with this combination they can deal 3 damage. So I believe this is a nice addition to the mage deck in general.
Yeah, I agree. Alright, let's take a look at this next one. It's actually our first spell, believe it or not. And we've got the 2 mana spell Ghost Form. This one allows you to pick one of 2 effects. So you can give Order plus 10 to a creature in your hand, or just draw a card. So this one is... I don't know, I don't really see this one played too much. Like, I guess you probably want to be using the Order effect. I guess drawing a card for 2 mana isn't terrible either. It just seems kind of average. So yeah, what do you think of this one? And like, why would you want to give a creature in your hand Order plus 10?
My thoughts exactly. So there's 2 options, and if we look those options up, draw a card for 2 mana is decent one. And what about giving an order to a creature in hand? So if we look and scroll through our creatures who already come to the board with order, the ones that you would like to keep on the battlefield, they already have 10 order. So that's more than enough. You don't need to overextend it. That's more than enough. That's 5 turns. So those cards who have already ordered 10, they don't need a doubling that. If on the other hand you find something that is worth giving order to, if we stay within the mage deck, then the Miraculous Familiar is the one that comes into my mind, who is without order and a decent card to have around. Other neutral cards that mages play, are I believe higher and end tier cards, and you would like to ramp up as fast as possible and play those cards and have them attack and clear the board. So my opinion on this card, you would want to use the draw the card effect for 2 mana, which is decent, but I believe there are some better options for this.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I'm thinking of like some certain cards that, like Palace, the champion card. If you put order on that. But I feel like
I just don't know.
There's just better cards to run than this.
I wanted to test this out, but I believe that you don't have to test this out, because under order you still can play the ability.
Yeah.
So maybe Palace, could be one. And if you want to set that up, a total of 5 mana, and you can hang. If you get first the ghost form, then you can hang to it until you find the palace. But if you get palace first, I think it has more value if you play it on a decent turn, not rushing it to get it killed. But you wouldn't want to miss out on the opportunity just to wait for the ghost form. The combo, on the other hand, is very good.
Yeah, and then what Palace Champion does, for anyone that doesn't know, it allows you to delve a spell, which can be really powerful because it's like any spell in the game. You could get something crazy like Apocalypse Now, or you know, whatever. You can get whatever. Or it's like, what's the other effect that like does damage based off the mana of one of your opponent's spells in the void. So it's like
Yeah.
it'd be good. That's a card you want to keep on board. And you know, there's other ones too. Maybe like Oni Spell Sword. You know, you put order on that just to like buff it up and like get ward on everything. But it's one of those things where it's like you gotta be drawn right. You gotta draw the creature you wanna put the order on, and then you have to draw the ghost form, play it. So, I mean, it's probably just too slow in like the current meta. But I think there's some potential there for sure.
For sure, for sure.
Okay, next we have a good. This is a armor tech card. It's a Magnetic Blast. So it removes all armor from a creature, and it deals X plus 1 damage to each creature, where X is the amount of armor removed. And I'm not sure if I saw this played too much. I think this would be played in a control deck, and so like for example, nature has a giant pangolin, which is like a 7-mana creature with a ton of armor, and it can be tough to deal with if you don't have armor tech. So when I play Control Deception, I run the Piercing Bolt card, which removes armor, and then it does like 2 damage to the creature, which just kills a giant pangolin. So I think I'd like compare this card to that, where just specific tech for armor stuff. And I don't know if you would necessarily run this in a aggro deck. I mean, this could be like a Bronze Gate tech as well, but yeah, I'm not sure. What do you think?
I'm kind of shaking my head because it deals damage to each creature, so it deals damage to your creatures as well. And if you have creatures on your board and you use this on a giant pangolin, your creatures won't survive if you have any. If you would only use this card to eliminate a single target, then I believe your choice should be like Ratify. Yeah, it's for 5 mana, and yeah, like if someone has Ward, then you need to remove it somehow, usually with Mage Bolt. So in total, that's 7 mana. In many cases, you would use Magnetic Blast on an high-end tier creature. So I don't like this card. You know, its effectiveness is like it's a slingshot that slings back at you.
Yeah, I guess so. When you don't have creatures on the board, though, I mean, it's not really an issue, because you could play this. You know, play this on a Bronze Gate. It removes armor, does 2 damage. Then you run a Vanguard Axewoman into it, so you're like taking care of it for 3 mana, which isn't terrible. And of course, you know, like the giant pangolin example. So I think this is just like a special tech card, if anything.
True, actually true. My reasoning is only because armor and playing around armor is not yet discovered in the current meta. So we didn't see this card in play and its utility fully, discovered. Yeah, I believe, yeah, it put it into perspective. So if he plays some early aggro and early creatures and a Bronze Gate, this card for 2 mana is, like you turn the tables, the tides will be turned.
Yeah. But when you're playing aggro, you don't want to hate to see yourself in that spot where you're having to turn the tide. So I hear you, man.
maybe with more armor, we discover more armor place, then Magnetic Blast can be effective. But for now, I only saw Bronze Gate being played, which has armor, some light, with but then again only one, maximum 2 armor, and War has the I believe the best potential for armor gameplay, but it's giving 1 armor, that's just too weak. And there is one other creature that gets armor every time another creature dies. But for that creature to get armor, your other creatures have to die. So in the end, you will have 1 creature with high armor. And Magnetic Blast deals that damage to every creature. So you will have 1 creature with high armor to deal with. That's my reasoning.
Yeah, I just think it's cool that Magic. I mean, I like tech cards, I like cards like this, but it is a very like specific thing that you would be countering with this. So I can see why you wouldn't run it in every deck. All right, let's keep on going here. We've got the modified schematic. So this is add a random structure to your hand, give it ward and +2 health. So you're getting ward. I mean, we just got a ward 2.0. I mean, this card doesn't seem too bad for 2 mana.
It's not. I'm just searching up structures, and
I guess it really does depend on what structure you get, but and with Divine Order, we've seen so many like legendary structures that are like kind of crazy. Magic got some that give you like spell boost and do damage and stuff like that.
So in total, you have 34 structures.
34.
Yeah, now 34. And random structure. So what are the chances that out of that 34 you get the one that actually would be useful for you? Let's say not on that turn when you use it, because that's kind of not the way you would want to play it, but the next turn. So if you like to play casino, if you like to gamble, then this card is for you. But for consistent wise, I wouldn't run this, because it's just not consistent. Even if you get, let's say, like a decent card, let's go with like Arch of a Menmos, or I don't know, like a Labyrinth Guard, that is really cool and high end and effective. It's for 6 mana, so you would have to wait if you use it on turn 2. Again, if you use it on turn 2, then you lose tempo, and the end is always like a random structure. So it's fun. Competitive wise, I wouldn't advise this card.
Yeah, and it shares a lot of similarities with the Diligent Architect card, which again is a fun card to play, but it's never really been meta. Well, yeah, you're definitely rolling the dice like when you play this. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
On the other hand, with Diligent Architect, it delves a structure. So there you raise your chances because you get 3 choices.
True.
Okay, you don't get the ward, but still you get the +2 health, and if like I will just repeat myself, if you like to gamble, and because high win if you get a high roll, but again you get shot in the knee by yourself if you don't get a good card. If you really want to play something like this, Diligent Architect is way better, because you get higher chances. You also play a minion creature on board, so there are some stats as well. You don't get the ward, but that's not a win con. That's
Yeah. Alright, well, let's keep on moving. Next, we got the Pillar of Lightning, and I know this card was seeing play because I was looking at a Ramp Magic deck that was doing well last week, and they had this in there. So it's a 2-mana, 0/2 structure, but it's got Order 10, and it says after a friendly creature takes damage, deal 1 damage to the weakest enemy creature. So I don't. It's kind of it's hard to wrap your head around why this would be a good, like especially in a control deck. But I guess if you play something like a Bronze Gate and then you also have this down, it's just doing extra damage to your opponent. But again, it's like something you gotta draw the right cards and get them on the board. Like there's kind of a little bit of setup with this thing, and then you're hoping it's not gonna get removed by a spell. But I mean, it looks like some people have had success with it. I don't know if this has any application in a tempo deck, or do you ever see this card played?
Actually, I have a use case, and I was discussing this with a high tier player, and he didn't agree with me on this because you need to generate creatures, and you need to for those creatures to take damage. So we already have like Rat Rod Mage, where you generate creatures with spells, and if you have this Pillar of Lightning, when you deal damage, let's say you want to control the board, when you deal damage with rats, the Pillar of Lightning will deal 1 extra damage to their weakest creatures. So in that use case, I believe that it's useful. What was the player's reasoning is that you don't need this because you already have Rat Rod and spells. And I think that now Palace Genius God Power has 1 more mana cost, so it's for 3. You will eventually run out of spells, and maybe Pillar of Lightning has enough utility to keep the tempo on your favor. It has to be set up, so you have to get Pillar of Lightning, you have to get the Rat Rod as well. It's not impossible. If you don't have it within this archetype deck, then it won't do any good, because again, mages don't run many creatures. For early game, it can be good, because for early game usually mages run 1, maximum 2 mana creatures to handle the tempo, or to kickstart their game. Even then it can be good. Otherwise, I think in control decks, in control type mage decks, it's a nice addition.
Yeah, and I see this as a tool, like just taming the early game, which it's important if you're playing a control deck, because that's what happens in that early game can like really affect what's going on later on. So I think this is just like an aggro tamer. It's not a bad card.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Cool. Let's keep on moving. We've got another spell. This one's a Safeguarding Incantation, and we've talked about this a little bit, I think. It's a 2 mana, draw a card, and then give ward to each creature in your hand. And I think this card is just good now, right? With Ward 2.0, like, and what Ward 2.0 is so it blocks 1 instance of non-creature combat damage which could be like a spell or a roar effect from a creature. They consider that non-combat, and then or one instance of sleep or transform, if I've got that correct. So having this card, especially if you're an aggro deck, I mean, I guess this would be more for a tempo deck. It's just giving you like an extra little bit of protection on your creatures, so you're not getting killed by spells. You're not getting slowed down by demos or siren. It seems like a good tech card to me, like especially with how popular death, board wipe death, and then the sleep deception is right now.
Yeah, you're right. And if you look back on Ghost Form and Safeguard Incantation, so they're both 2 mana, and if you want to use Ghost Form only for draw a card, Safeguard Incantation is the choice for you. Like but the main point here is that it's a tech card. You're right. Either you want to specifically ward a creature, like what you want to protect, let's say like a Demetrius or some other creature that has no ward, like Miraculous Familiar. I'm looking here at the mage god creatures. Or the other issue, on the other hand, the issue comes into play that this card is only as good as the creatures it can buff.
True.
And speaking of this point, you need to play again a mage deck revolving around creatures, which is not its strong side. So when I saw this card like first time and didn't even have experience playing with it, I thought that like this is the best card. Now I don't consider this card that much of a card to be, brainlessly put in a deck and it will work. It's a good card. It's a very good card. You mentioned some good ideas with it.
Yeah.
Tech.
I mean, I think it's like a safe tech though too, because like if you're getting a card, you're drawing a card for 2 mana, which is already like decent value, and then giving ward to each creature in your hand on top of it. So I don't know. I think of this as like your tech relic removal, right? Just in case you go against a deck that's like relic heavy or relic dependent. So like same thing with this, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying with like aggro magic. It's not always like creature based, but I think this card's just good though.
Just to finish it off with this thought that if you manage to draw a card that is a creature with this spell, it will get also buffed. So it's something nice to know about it.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, let's keep on going. We're up to 3 mana. This one is Defend the Ramparts, and me and Funkmaster Hutch actually revealed this card during the Cujo Bowl. So, Defend the Ramparts, it deals 2 damage to 2 different enemy creatures. If you control a structure, deal 3 damage instead. And so this is, I mean, you probably want to run this card if you're playing structures. But I can see this being really good in a control deck that runs structures, maybe even like a tempo deck. So you're doing like 3 damage twice for 3 mana if you have a structure, which is just good value. But like a lot of the other cards from the set, it's very...
It's dependent.
Yeah, it's dependent. It's dependent on like if you have structures or not. Exactly.
Yeah. And you know, there is two ways around buffing a spell to deal more damage. So in this case, you have to have structures on the board. So that's one use case. And the other use case is just to play spell boost creatures to buff your damage on the spells.
Dude, could you imagine you have a structure with spell boost? You'd be doing 4 damage twice for 3 mana. Like, that's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's strong. What I want to highlight is that it can't scale as well as, let's say, something with spell boost, because if you have 2 spell boost, then the damage will be +2. But with Defender Ramparts, that's not the case. If you play 2 structures, then the scalability only limits you at 1. That's my first reasoning. And the second reasoning is that, yeah, playing around structures. But are there as many structures within the whole game as spell boost creatures? I believe like there is only, if we compare, like 20% on the structure side, and the rest is spell boost. So it's a good card. It's very effective. Yeah, if you can pull it off, let's say with some early structures, you know, Pillar of Lightning, or even, you know, the Enchanted Chariot, or other control structures. We even have a spell boost like Snowstorm Spire. I believe that with spell boost, you can scale up faster and stronger, and use spells that cost less mana with higher end damage. So I would still vote every time for spell boost and low mana spells, other than Defender, Ramparts, and Structure play. But a decent card. It's a good card.
All right. Let's take a look at this next one. Speaking of structures, we've got another one with the Grumpy Chest. So it's a 3 mana 1/4, but it says after this creature survives damage, draw a card. And so this is going to be, I imagine this is just used to draw cards. At 3 mana, I think, you know, you play this, you might be able to draw 2 cards off of it, which is, it's not bad, but yeah, I don't know about this one. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to draw cards in this game. This one seems a little slow.
True. And you have to be lucky to draw 2 cards with this, because you will only get a card draw if it survives. So maybe maybe you get 1 damage, and then let's say 1 or 2 more, and then it will still have 1 more HP. But if you get first time 2 damage and the second time again 2 damage, that's, you know, at turn 2, 3, 4, that's more like the case. Then you only draw 1 card, and it has only 1 attack. It will slow you down. And it's not that effective.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't make this a 2/4, because I mean, we have Skeleton Heavy, which is a 2 mana 2/4, just like vanilla, no text card. So like a 3 mana 2/4 with this text, it seems like decent. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem that good. I love the art. I love the name and the design of the card, but I think they're just better cards to play, you know?
Yeah, definitely a fix of either just add 1 more strength, or add 1 more strength, reduce 1 health, or stat-wise stay the same but reduce it to 2 mana. I think still that way it would be balanced and more or
More appealing for sure.
yeah, that was the word. Thanks.
Okay, so now we've got a card I know that you're familiar with. We've got the Miraculous Familiar. It's a 3 mana 3/3 with Blessed, and after you play your first spell each turn, add a random spell to your hand. And this is also an Aether in the Aether tribe, so this is a cool card.
Definitely, 100%. I don't know if you intentionally intended, I'm familiar with the Miraculous Familiar, yeah, pun intended. So it's a decent card. I believe that this is the best rare card, hands down, in the set for Mage. It's 3 mana 3/3. That's very decent. It's blessed, so you get to delve something favor related. And after you play your first spell each turn, it generates an extra spell. So it's easy to combine on the same turn to let's say play it on an empty board and deal with one of his creatures if he's, let's say, up on the board by one. You would like to have this creature on the board as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
To really gain its effect. And yeah, there is some bug currently in the game. I don't know how they managed to code Vow of Learning, but if you use Miraculous Familiar and then Vow of Learning, then the bird will generate 2 spells instead of 1.
Yeah, I think it's because it counts as 2 spells, kind of like. I use this as an example all the time, but Apocalypse Now, it like goes twice, right? Like the first one, it clears the ward, and then it goes again. And then people are like, oh, well, it's like 1 spell, like ward should just block the whole thing, but like it's just not how it was coded for whatever reason. And I think like Vow of Learning is another example of that. Like it's technically like 2 spells, right? But it's a cool combo, and like there's some like RNGs like spell wise, but you could totally get a spell off this that would just completely change the game. Like, I mean, Apoc's a good example. Stuff like End Times, you get something that could like does damage, take out a creature, go face. Like, it seems good.
Yeah, and my experience shows that let's say 70% of time you get the spell that either can win you the game or it can prolong and make you stay in the game until you win it. So it's good in that case. I want to share another interesting thing with it. So the effect. So, like the card effect, it says after you play your first spell each turn. So you have to be careful, because if Miraculous Familiar is in your hand and you decide to play first a spell, then Miraculous Familiar, then the second spell that you play will not trigger its effect. And it's the same as if the familiar is in the void. So if it's in the void and you manage to bring it back to game, let's say like the enemy plays a Pyramid Ward and you kill it, and Miraculous Familiar comebacks, and you previously use the spell, then the effect won't trigger if you use another spell. So it's something.
It has to be the first spell. Okay. See, now that you point that out, the Vow Learning thing seems like it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
After you play your first spell, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So yeah, like this is like story-wise. I'm going to tell you the reason that I did this video is to expose this, because I posted it in the bug section, and people just flood the bug section with your nonetheless like ranting and being salty. So my like the message, that could be important to be addressed. It gets flooded, and maybe the devs didn't even reach my comments. So yeah, this is the reason that I decided to make this video, to give it exposure, because I believe so too, that it shouldn't be like WoW of Learning shouldn't work like this, because that way why can't I play two different spells on the same turn, and get like it's just it doesn't, like, if someone can explain to me like logically what do they think, like the depths of this, then maybe it will make sense, but for now I believe this is a bug to be exploited.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, I tried to do the reasoning, but like it doesn't really match the text of the card, so yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep on going. We've got relic now, the Scepter of Artistry. And it's a 0/3 relic, 3 mana. Ability gives spell boost +2 and order +3 to a friendly creature. Then remove 1 durability from this relic. I mean, I've seen this played in a lot of the faster, like more combo decks that they've got the worm breaths in there, and they're like giving it spell boost, and they go face for a bunch of damage. And this is a legendary card too, and so I mean, it seems good. Like this is, you probably play this in a very specific deck, so probably something with like the worm breath.
Yeah, that's true. I have a sort of spell face combo deck running that actually did very good over the weekend. Some thoughts about this card is that you want to effectively use it to combo your spells with it. So this was my reasoning over Defender Ramparts. So for example, you use the Scepter, you get 2 spell boost, and then you can effectively use 1 mana spells for minimum 4 damage. So like that's the OTK combo of power and potential now of Mage with spell boost with this Scepter, and it can save creatures, let's say Miraculous Familiar or other creatures that you want on the board. Creatures with spell boost, Frostbitten Channel, or the other 1 mana spell boost creature that now I forgot its name. And for 3 mana, after turn 3 you can get 6 spell power, like spell boost. That's huge.
It's nice.
Even if you combo it with 1 mana spells, that's 8 damage minimum. If you combo it with face damage spells like Worm Breath or Shadow Slash, that's 10-11 damage. So it can be, unexpected high damage can be done.
Oh yeah, and I know it's caught me off guard, for sure. Playing control, I think this card's good. It's in a good spot. It makes Iron-Tooth Goblin good too, because you play Iron-Tooth Goblin, just removes this. It gives people a reason to run tech cards, and I've always been like, as far as building decks, like I don't think good deck building is like just picking the strongest cards and putting them in the list. Like I like to be like looking at the meta and like, what are people running, like how are we gonna counter this, like thinking of different situations. Like for me, that's like really like good fun deck building. So I like cards like this that are good, that are gonna force you to like think about, if this gets played on me, like I need to have an answer for it.
Yeah, true. That's the way. That's how it should be done. I didn't fully explain like the benefit of this card. Maybe I just had. So you want to use it for the spell boost effect, because order 3 means that you won't be able to use for attacking that card until your third turn, but on your opponent's second turn, the creature is vulnerable to attacks. So you got to keep that in mind, which creatures you want to use this on. On the other hand, it's not every time that simple. You just boost a creature, because if it's a low mana, low HP creature, it can be dealt with spells. If
True.
it's something that is valuable, then the opponent will surely make that like potentially the first target to kill. And if you lose, the spell boost on that creature, that's a huge disadvantage on you. So you have to think about the possibilities, the outcomes.
Yeah. But I think this is good against like zoo decks, right? Because they're not running relic removal. They're not running a whole lot of spells. Like you got 3 turns. You're giving +6 spell boost. That's gonna make your Worm Breath 10 damage. So it's like, you gotta deal with this. So we're going 10 to the face, and it seems good.
Yeah, it is good. For example, it was rarely, but I found myself in a situation where I didn't have any creatures in hand to play, and Scepter was already in play, so I just needed a creature to be played. And how I effectively counter this is that I usually gather up enough favor so that if the time is right, I can get a creature from the shop. And if you run a specific deck that I'm running is like a combo face mage, then you have more spells than creatures, so that might be a chance. And this is just a way how to effectively deal with that.
Okay, yeah. Let's keep on going. We've got another legendary, and Vortimir the Volatile. So this one's kind of strange. It's a 3 mana 1/2 Nether, and after you play a spell, give this creature +1 strength. At the end of your turn, if this creature has 3 strength or more, set it to 1 strength and draw a card. And so this is, I don't know what they were trying to make this card like, let you draw cards. Because the strength goes up, which is cool, but then it gets reset, and then you draw a card. But I don't know. It seems like it just gets removed though, because it always has 2 health. I mean, it doesn't have backline, doesn't have ward, doesn't have protect. Like, and I don't know. This is a weird one. Like, I haven't seen anyone really play this. I don't think it's all that great.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know if I can say anything good about this card, other than the card art itself. I don't know what they wanted to accomplish with this card effect. It's just not working. It's just not working.
It's not working. And like 3 mana too is like, you get a 3 mana, then it buffs up to a 3/2, and like it's just not. It's not there, man.
But you said it wrong, because if this creature has 3 strength, then it should, or like it doesn't specify, because at the end of your turn, so it does. So let's say you get to 3 strength, you can decide to leave it to draw a card, or trade it off with something, but then you lose the whole card itself, and it's for 3 mana. Nah, this is like an A.
Yeah, I think if they maybe buff the stats a little bit, might see play, and then they changed it to be like 5 strength or more, you draw a card, and then you, like you were saying, you choose like, all right, we can trade it out. After you buff it up, you trade it out, or you draw a card. But I think in its like current state, just too weak, and it kind of sucks too because it's a legendary. It's supposed to be good. I'm pretty sure I packed a couple of these too, so. But I don't know. You just hate to see a legendary card be like not good. You know what I mean?
If like another case comes into my mind, okay, so you're not trading, you are using it for phase damage. But if you do that, maybe you can get, how much you can get it to 3. You use 2 spells, maximum 3. It's like 4-2. You get in 4 damage to face. Then you draw a card. Now it starts. We're getting there. Again, 1-2, and if the opponent decides to kill it, it's an easy target. Now that I mentioned it, for face, it's something to try out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess it just seems so weak though. Like, why wouldn't this 2 health? Like, it's gonna get removed, you know?
Yeah, the 2 health is a problem to look out. I'm just thinking with the head of my deck that it takes around small spells with 2 to 3 to 4 damage that are capable of like after the turn immediately kill them. So if the creatures don't have blitz on them, they won't have any space to attack. And if this is on board, with spells I kill off their creatures, their boards, I attack face, I get in some damage, and I draw a card. So now, to think of it, maybe to something to try out.
Yeah, maybe. In a lot of these cards, I've said this like 3 times already, but it's like good against zoo decks, and so yeah, I guess if you think about it like that, it may not be terrible, but I just think like 9 times out of 10 this gets removed with a spell or something though.
Well, yeah.
But you should try it out, and let us know how it goes.
I will, yeah.
Alright, so let's keep on going. We've got Vow Learning. So this one's a 3-mana spell where you get to pick 2 different options. Deal 1 damage, deal 2 damage to a creature, give Protected to a creature, or give Ward to a creature. And I thought this was good. It's like kind of a flex card, where you could be, giving your creatures the buffs with Protected and Ward, or you could do 3 damage to a creature, whatever you wanted to do. Like, you've got some options, so it's like a flexible card that's good in a lot of different situations.
Yeah, the choice, like the 4 different choices, are always good. You can utilize them however you want, and it's if you want to deal damage, if you want to deal like spell boosted damage, it's even easy to set up. So let me give you an example. I play on turn 1 the I need to now get this creature's name, because this is the second time that I want.
Street Conjure?
Yeah, Street Conjure. Yeah, thanks. So a use case, an exemplary use case. So on turn 1, you play a Street Conjurer, and then on turn 2, let's say your opponent plays 2 different creatures with 2 or 3 damage. So with Vow of Learning, you can effectively deal with that if you use the pip. Another aspect to it. So it can deal 1 damage. That one can go to face, and then the other can then go only to creatures. With spell boost, it's very scalable, and it's a face and a removal. So I mentioned that you need to protect Demetrius from Death's God power, from deal 1 damage, roar spells. With Vow of Learning, that's easily done, protected and warded. So they have to use up 2 of their resources. If they can do it on 1 turn, that means that Demetrius will be up for 3 turns, so that's a level 3 final draft. If you want the other way around, deal damage and utilize the protection, that's also very good. Why I'm emphasizing on damage? Because of course protected and ward doesn't scale up with spell power. So yeah, these are my thoughts on this card. I really like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's cool. Alright, let's keep on going. We've got the All-Seeing Spire. So this one's 4 mana, 0/2, order 10. At the start of your turn, 4C 1. At the end of your turn, draw a card. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's like really. They added in some more 4C cards. Well, I guess this is the first one, but yeah, I don't know about this one. I feel like it just gets removed, and it's 4 mana seems so steep too. I mean, it seems like a control card, like almost, like maybe you would use this to set up a fray into Avatar and Magic or something like that, but I don't know. It doesn't seem very good to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially in control mages, overlook this card. If you put it into perspective, so 4C is at the start of your turn, but drawing a card is at the end of your turn. So what does that mean? So you play this creature and you immediately draw a card afterwards. So if it gets destroyed, then it's 4 mana and draw 1 card. But if at least it's on for turn 2 and the effectives can trigger, then 4 mana, there is a creature on the board, you need to use at least 1 resource to kill it, and it draws you 2 cards, 4C1. So if it stays on the board for 1 extra turn, then I think it's worth it. What do you think?
Yeah. And the next card we're looking at is the Lightning Talisman, and each domain got a different talisman, and so far none of them have really been that appealing, at least to me. And this one, it's a 4 mana 1/3. After your god attacks a creature with this relic, give that creature at the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to a random friendly character. So this is just a slow one, and it's like, it seems like all the talismans are slow. So you're doing 1 damage to a creature, and then I think at the end of your opponent's turn, it does 2 damage to a friendly character if that creature is still alive. So it could do 2 damage to a creature or to the god. So it just seems kind of slow. It seems like a lot. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah. It's good. And my reasoning is, like, what if the creature stays on the board for longer than 1 turn? So does it have the same effect? So every turn the creature deals damage to the new creatures or the remaining creatures on the board.
I think so.
I never played this. It might be good. It's definitely slow for the current meta, but it might be good. It's a different kind
Yeah.
of board.
And it really, like, Magic doesn't have relics that clear. They don't have too many relics that clear board. Um, but this one, it'd be like too situational for me. But I guess if you were playing like a control deck, maybe it'd come in handy, but I just think there's better cards to run than that.
Yeah, somewhat like that.
But yeah, you guys, try it out and see how it goes, and maybe prove me wrong. So let's keep on moving. Let's take a look at this next card. This is a 4-mana spell, Unproven Incantation. So this one's a blessed card, so you get the blessed effect when you play this. And then deal 4 damage to a creature. If it survives, give it burn +1. So I don't know if I would run this either. Like, I feel like you would just run Worm Breath, probably. So Worm Breath, you can do damage to a creature or go face with it. But I don't know if maybe you would run this on top of Worm Breath in some sort of spell deck. It's not a terrible card. I just think. Then you also got Shadow Slash too. Like, you've played Shadow Slash before, right?
Yeah, in my head I'm doing the pros and cons with those cards. It's the worst of them. So very situational, can only deal damage to creatures. I mean, the blessed is not worth it, and you have better spells to play.
Yeah, I think what they could have done with this card, maybe if, since you can't go face with it, maybe it should have been deal 5 damage or something like that, deal 6 damage. But they've done this with a lot of the blessed cards. It seems like they value blessed higher than what the majority of the player base is valuing it.
Yeah, that's somewhat true. The new keyword, so they put more emphasis on it, but it's not that good. How they intended it, at least not for now.
Yeah. All right, let's look at this next one, because I know people have played this one. It's kind of interesting. It's a structure, 4-mana structure, the Wall of Lightning. So it's got front line. It can attack, but it does have spell boost +1, and this is a 4/4 structure. So that's pretty decent stats for 4 mana. I think this is a cool card. I feel like you would run this in a very specific deck, in a deck that, like that face spell sort of thing, because of the spell boost. But it's an interesting card for sure. I don't know if you have any experience playing this or seeing this out on ladder, but what do you think of the Wall of Lightning?
Not really, but in my mind, frontline and spell boost don't go together. Frontline makes it vulnerable, and that's the first target. And in my opinion, spell boost should be on the board as long as possible. So, like, frontline cancels out, in my head, the spell boost. So yeah, decent card, good stats, but in my head, it's not worthy.
Yeah, it's a good point with the spell boost. And, we've got a lot of new structures with the Divine Order set. I mean, we've got everyone's favorite card, the Bronze Gate, which is a 3 mana. Well, that's a 2/4 with 1 armor. That's got front line, but I mean, I'd probably play that over this. So usually when you play a front line, you're trying to stop creatures from hitting you in the face. It serves a different purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, let's look at this next card because it's another structure. The Monolith of Storms, and this is a legendary. It's a 5 mana, 4/4, but this one's got Order 10, and it's an interesting card too. There hasn't been a card like this. It says, after you play a spell, give +1 strength to this creature. Ability, deal damage to an enemy character equal to this creature's strength, and set the creature's strength to 0. So you play this, it's got order, you pass, comes around, you're playing spells, you boost the strength up, and use the ability, and it deals damage. It's kind of an interesting card, and I think what really makes it good is the order, because that's gonna make it not targetable by creatures. So you've got order 10, and you can do the 4 damage, 5 damage, however much damage you get on the structure. Then afterwards, as long as it doesn't get removed, you can boost the strength up again, and then attack again. So I think it's a cool card. I've seen people run this one. It seems pretty decent to me.
I very much indeed. I like it as well because of the reason that you can stack up and deal like 6, 7, 8 damage on that area, or use its ability beforehand and then cast spells to regain some strength. And you can also target gods with it. So it's a good way to deal damage, face damage. And an interesting aspect to it, if you manage to boost its strength while it's in your hand, you'll be able to deal damage as if you were boosting it up with spells. So I mean, a very strong card. It's a good card to have.
Yeah, I know I've seen this played a lot, and it doesn't always get removed right away either. So I think this is a good one. Definitely would be played in like a tempo style deck, or maybe like combo face spell magic deck, but definitely a good card. So
Yeah, solid.
let's take a look at this next one. Now, we were talking about this the other day. The Shaped Blast. It's a 5 mana. So this one's, it's like a board clear, but you pick one of the 2 options. You can deal 5 damage to each creature with frontline, or deal 3 damage to each creature without frontline. And if you compare this to the other 5 mana board clear spells Magic has, they've got Crystal Rain, which is just 2 damage, and then you foresee 1, I believe. This one you could do 3 or 5, which it almost seems better. The only way this card is worse is if your opponent has both creatures with frontline and without frontline, and that way you can't get them all. But I think, let's say they have 3 creatures with frontline somehow, you're doing 15 damage for 5 mana. It seems pretty good, and I don't think I've seen too many people run this card. I think a lot of people are just sticking with the Crystal Rain, but I almost feel like this one's better. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of unaware for now. I think I only seen in one deck, which was Control Magic. Yeah, in some cases definitely it's an improvement to Crystal Rain. Usually that's not the case that they have both frontline and non-frontline. So most of the time you will be able to use it how it's intended. I mean, just for frontline or just without frontline.
And if you're playing a control deck too, I mean, Ramp Magic is pretty much always run like one Crystal Rain. Then they nerfed Astric Implosion, so people had to look for other ways to clear. So people run Archimedes Mirror, or maybe sometimes an extra Crystal Rain, or a Crystal Rain and a spell boost. And this is just good for control players, because you know most of their creatures probably aren't going to have frontline, right? So you probably pick the 3 damage option. And if they play something like a Bronze Gate, as a control player, you're not really worried about the Bronze Gate, because the Bronze Gate's not hitting you in the face every turn. So you can just do the 3 damage to the creatures without frontline, leave those structures that can't attack, and like just deal with them later, you know. So I think this is a good card, and I probably need to pick a couple of them up, honestly.
Yeah, likewise.
Cool, let's take a look at this next one. This is another one that's I think is good, or at least I've seen people run it, and it seems good. It's the Snowstorm Spire, a 5 mana structure. It's got Order 10, and at the end of your turn, give Ward to your god, and spell boost +1 to this creature. So this is, you're getting Ward on your god, which is great. I mean, Ward's always been helpful. It's probably even better now that it's supposed to block with Ward 2.0. But I think people are primarily running this for the spell boost. You just keep on getting spell boost each turn, more spell boost. And since it's got Order 10, the only way to remove it, I mean, you pretty much need like a spell, right? So I know this is run in the face spell magic decks. 5 mana is kinda high, so yeah, I don't know. I've seen this card run though, and it's like scary though. You want to remove it quick, because they just keep on getting spell boosted. They can go face with like a Worm Breath or something, and then you're before you know, you're taking like 10-20 damage and you're losing the game.
Yeah, sometimes that's the occasion, and because it's 5 mana, you need to be somewhat ahead of board, ahead of the game to play it, because it sets you back a couple of steps. Yeah, it's a decent, like a solid creature, again with 4 HP, so it's just above, you know, that the critical 3 health that can be dealt with. And against warriors who play Slayer, this on the board is you know, a lifesaver, because their hero power is blocked every time.
Oh yeah. I'd say this is probably an auto include if you're playing that face spell magic style. I could see this working in like certain tempo decks as well. Probably. It's a cool card.
Well, I was experimenting now with this new improved face combo, and running 2 these ancient texts with 5 spell boost is 14 damage for 2 mana, and add in a Worm Breath, which is 10, so you can deal 6 mana, 24 damage. I mean, that's decent. And that's not the best combo, like that usually you can save up these spells pretty effectively, not lose the game, and then deal 24 damage to face in 1 turn with 6 mana, if there is like 5 spell boost on this creature.
Yeah, and that's a lot of damage, and not every deck has running the cards to deal with stuff like this, right? There's a lot of zoo decks in the meta. There's a lot of decks that just don't run a lot of spells, don't run a lot of removal, and like just having creatures isn't enough to deal with this kind of stuff. So
Yeah, we can agree that this card is something to watch out for, because it can run out, run out of hand, run out of.
yeah,
It can cause havoc. Yeah, let's say it like that.
yeah, for sure. Okay, now we've got another 5-mana spell, and this one is also an epic like Shape Blast. It's like kind of like Shape Blast. So Stormfield, 5 mana. Deal 2 damage to each creature without order. Give spell boost +1 to each of your creatures. And this is, I don't know. I guess like for me, I'm like, why would I run this over a Shape Blast or Crystal Rain? Crystal Rain just does 2 damage to the enemy creatures. But I guess the pro to running this card would be the spell boost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is very situational. I don't know if it's really worth it, unless you're running like if you knew that all your creatures were gonna have order, and then you're doing a face spell magic type of thing, then maybe you would run this. But I've seen too many people doing that, and I don't think you can really run a magic deck that's just all order creatures. Like, I feel like you need at least some creatures on the board to battle it out.
Yeah, I agree. This is a card that is you need to play around it, and having just order creatures is not going to win you games, as many games as you would like.
Yeah, it's just a
And,
situational card that I don't know if it's really worth it. Like, I'd probably just run the Crystal Rain or the Shape Blast over this.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I didn't see anyone play this card, and to speak out for myself, I am not intending to as well. So maybe we will see something build around it in the future.
Maybe. Okay, now we're on 6 mana. We've got the Guardian Simulacrum, and this is a 5/3 structure with spell boost +1. And at the end of turn, set this creature's armor equal to your total spell boost, which is kind of interesting. I'm assuming you can attack with this because it doesn't say can attack. It does have 5 attack, and I think the health seems a little low for a 6 mana card. So this is I guess it really depends on how much spell boost you have, right? So you automatically get 1 armor from the spell boost +1.
And then, because the card description is that way, that at the end of turn, I think this would mean that the end of each turn, I believe. I'm just guessing because I'm not playing this card. Maybe it should be tried out, because I believe that if you gain spell boost, then the armor will change on this creature, and if you lose, it will again like increase and decrease according to how many spell boost you have at the end of turn, whatever that means.
Yeah, at the end of each turn, I think you're right. But for me, like this, you'd have to have at least 3 spell boosts on board for this to be even somewhat good to me, because I mean, it's at 6 mana you start to unlock real power, right? And a 5/3 is not doing it, or a 5/3 with 1 armor, 2 armor, that's not doing it for me. Like, so it just seems very situational. But I guess there's for some reason, if you had 4 or 5 spell boosts on the board and you played this, it'd probably be pretty crazy. But and at the same time, you go against some gods like Death, just Blight Bomb just kills this thing. Like, I don't know, it doesn't seem that good to me.
Yeah, that's true. The 3 HP value is very critical because of that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What this next structure, I've played this quite a bit. The Labyrinth Guard. It's a 6 mana 4/8 with frontline, and it can't attack, but it does have 1 armor. And this is just like a big old boy, big old body to put on the board. Against zoo decks, I mean, zoo decks are gonna have a hard time getting around this just because of the amount of health it has. And it's got 4 attack as well, so it's killing off a lot of things. But I liked this card as a, I mean, it can attack, so you're playing this as like a stall card. But I mean, in a control deck, you know, you get to 6 mana, you play this down, and this is just letting you stall for another couple turns to get to your like 7 mana, 8 mana cards, where you start to really come online at that point in the game. So I think this card's pretty decent.
Yeah, imagine if you have 2 of these and 2 of the other 6 mana creatures, the Phalanx Minotaur, it's called.
Yeah.
6 mana with same stats, though it can attack. It has also frontline. I believe if you can play those, definitely you will win a couple of turns, and you'll be able to reach 8 mana smoothly without any problems. And if your opponent tries to get through them, he will have to waste his resources. You can't effectively get through this if you're playing a zoo deck. If you're playing a control, that's another different story. But against zoo, it's a good wall to have. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Okay, so now we've got one last card to look at. The 7 mana card. I think it's kind of strange Magic only got like up to 7 mana. But I don't know. So this one's the Scholar of Power. It's a 5/5 Aether, and it's got spell boost +2. After you summon a creature, give it spell boost +2. Roar, give each friendly creature spell boost +2. So I mean, it's a lot of spell boost. It's a lot of spell boost. But this is also a 7 mana card, and like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of really good 7 mana cards, and I don't know if I've seen this one played. Like, it does seem, I mean, you're getting a ton of spell boost off this, so really I think what they're thinking is like you play this at 7 mana, and then maybe like next turn you're playing a spell that can go face, and then you know you could potentially have like 4, 6, 8 spell boost on the board, which is kind of insane. But I don't know. It doesn't seem as reliable as like playing a 7 mana stall card and then getting to like 8, 9 mana and playing a real win con, you know?
Yeah, I had a grin earlier on my face because of these spell boosts here and there and everywhere. I just it would be good to play it like ideally how you mentioned. It's just the execution. I think it would be harder to pull off. Maybe if you're playing an Ether deck, I think I saw like some players play that. I think I saw all those play with it. Maybe because it's an Ether, it can be put into that Ether Magic deck. I think they run high-end Ethers as well. But other occasions, I just don't see this card.
Yeah, very situational, and I mean, I guess you could compare it to like the Oryx, you know, because you look at decks that top out at 7 mana. You've got Big Beast. The thing is with the charging Oryx, you play that at 7 mana and it attacks right away. It can go face and deal 7 damage. With this, if you play this at 7 mana, you have to wait at least another turn before you can even play a spell to benefit off the spell boost. So just it's slower, it's situational. If you don't have a board, then you're only getting spell boost +2, which doesn't really seem worth it. Yeah, I don't know about this card for me, but
Yeah, I agree with you that it's not really giving you the edge on the same turn as being played. It needs to be set up, played around it a little.
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe someone will figure something out, and like, and there's potential for a lot of really cool combos. But it's like, I mean, if you have the board at 7 mana, like, I don't know. You could maybe consider this a win more card, but I guess if you're against a control deck, then maybe not necessarily. So I don't know. It's like a not a style that I would probably play, but yeah, who knows.
Yeah, same.
All right, well, yeah, that'll about do it. Those are all the cards. I don't know, was there anything else you wanted to add?
Everything was mentioned. All my thoughts were set out. I like these new Mage DU cards, focusing around these new keywords, order, you know.
Yeah, and
we see some.
they totally changed the playstyle of Magic too, because before all these changes and God Power changes, like at least in Mythic, pretty much people were running like Rant Magic, right? Control Magic, and then there were like goofy decks like Rat Rod, Infinite Portal Wranglers, which both of those decks were kind of memes. Like, I don't know if I would consider them competitive decks just because of how easy they are to counter, but they've totally changed Magic here. And you know, I think like a control version of Magic could still be a thing. Like, it's not gonna be king of control like it used to be, but it definitely seems like they've given Magic tools to play a more aggressive style, whether it's like aggro or a combo style with spells to the face. So I mean, I kind of like what they're doing. I think each domain, for each domain, you like to see like 2 or 3 different archetypes that are viable in competitive play. So I think it's cool what they're doing.
Yeah. That's true. They shaked up the water with these new keywords.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right then. I guess that'll about do it. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Valdez, thank you for coming through and talking about these cards with me. If you guys aren't already following Valdez, we'll have a link to his YouTube and his Twitch in the description. So give my man a follow. And yeah, Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
Peace.
All right, there she is.